equate to my take-home pay. I will have to be buying fuel every day. And I'm on band A, and yet I cannot enjoy our power supply. So we hope that Ikeja Electric will do the needful and, of course, rectify the faults that have been identified by their engineers as soon as possible. All right, we'll go to the news point. Season of election, like we rightly know. Presidential election, Tinubu Obi, others sign peace pact as 2027 campaign begins today. Political parties and presidential and National Assembly candidates on Tuesday signed the first National Peace Accord on issue-based campaigns ahead of 2027 general elections, pledging to shun violence, hate speech, misinformation, personal attacks, and other conduct capable of undermining the electoral process. The accord was signed in Abuja at a ceremony organized by the National Peace Committee in partnership with the Kuka Center, barely 48 hours before the statutory commencement of public campaigns and rallies for the elections. The event brought together the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Joash Amukbito, political party leaders, presidential candidates, National Assembly candidates, the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, and representatives of the diplomatic community, among other stakeholders. Those who signed the accord included President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, the Nigeria Democratic Congress presidential candidate, Peter Obi, the Social Democratic Party candidate, Adewale Adebayo, and his African Action Congress counterpart, Omoyele Sowore. Other participants were the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, the presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party and Labour Party, Donald Duke and Chibuzo Okereke, the deputy president of the Senate, Barao Jibrin, the PRP national chairman, Akim Baba Ahmed, federal and state lawmakers, party leaders, and other candidates. The event also featured goodwill messages from diplomatic representatives, including the European Union ambassador to Nigeria and the ambassador of Switzerland to Nigeria. However, some major political actors, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, were absent from the ceremony. Atiku is the presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, while Makinde is the presidential candidate of the Allied People's Movement, APM. Chairman of the National Peace Committee, former head of state, General Abdusalami Abubakar, retired, was represented by former Chief of Defense Staff, General Martin Aguai, retired. The ceremony was held against the backdrop of growing political activities ahead of the 2027 elections, with the economy, insecurity, unemployment, poverty, infrastructure deficits, and the credibility of the electoral process expected to dominate the campaigns. According to INEC's revised timetable, the presidential and National Assembly elections will hold on January 16, 2027, while the governorship and the State House of Assembly elections are expected to hold on February 6, 2027. Speaking through Akume, President Tinubu advised political parties and candidates to place national interest above personal and partisan ambitions, warning that the struggle for political power must not become a do-or-die affair. He also cautioned political actors against exploiting ethnic and religious sentiment to mobilize voters, insisting that the 2027 campaign should be based on competing ideas, policies, and programs. Signing the peace accord is a solemn pledge to the Nigerian people that we as leaders will put the national interest above personal or partisan ambitions. Okay, let me end it there. The peace accord was signed yesterday in Abuja, right in the presence of the chairman of the National Peace Committee, former head of state, Abdusalami Abubakar, retired, who was ably represented there. And according to reports that we have in the Punch today, Peter Obi was there, Donald Duke, Atiku was absent. Mr. President was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. But then, beyond signing this peace accord, what will be the conduct of the political class as campaigns and rallies are expected to start today? So would they work in line with the guidelines and principles of INEC? Or what we had in 2023 is going to be a repeat, or what we are going to have in 2027 is going to be a repeat of what we had in 2023, where we saw ethnic colorations, hate speech, backbiting, blackmail in the campaigns and rallies of the major political actors in 2023. Which way is it going to go this time around, Joy? Should campaign be based on hate speech or what you are bringing to the table to better the lot of Nigerians?
It should be based on what you're bringing to the table to better the lot of Nigerians. And I like that President Tinubu has also said that the struggle for power should not be a do-or-die affair. I mean, those who are vying for these positions should put the interest of the nation and its people, you know, first beyond personal interest. But again, politics, what we see is people who are doing things or going for these offices because of what they want to gain. But I'm believing that, and I'm hopeful that there will be a change of heart. But I don't know why Atiku and Sheyi Makinde were not present at this signing of the peace accord. But anyway, campaigns have started.
A very big question coming from Joy this morning, if indeed you're coming to serve the people of Nigeria as their president. And the peace accord was signed yesterday, and you were not there as the presidential candidate of the APM and the presidential candidate of the ADC. So what kind of president are you going to be at the end of the day for Nigerians if you are not interested in signing the peace accords that will guarantee free, fair, and transparent election in 2027? The kind of election or leadership that you are bringing to the table, is it going to be violent-based, or I don't really understand, because that yesterday would have served as the avenue for them to come out, present themselves as one of those who are very serious about governing the Federal Republic of Nigeria as the president and the CNC of this great country. Maybe their spokesperson will give us reasons why the two of them were not there yesterday. And another question that popped up in my mind is, are they really contenders or they are pretenders? That is Atiku and Makinde this time around.
Only two of them can answer this question. I don't have the answer to it.
Okay, we'll be waiting for their spokesperson to give us reasons why they were not there yesterday. From politics, we are moving to the economy. 36 states' budgets jump 47% to 40 trillion naira. Capital spendings falls. Nigeria's 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory have increased their combined budget by 47.5%, from 27.22 trillion in 2025 to 40.14 trillion in 2026. Despite the significant increase in overall spending, the proportion allocated to capital projects has declined, raising concerns about the potential impact on infrastructure development and long-term economic growth. An analysis of the 2026 budgets of the 36 states and the FCT shows that capital expenditure accounts for 64.34% of the total budget, down from 73.24%, which was recorded in 2025. In nominal terms, states and FCT have allocated 25.83 trillion naira to capital expenditure out of their 40.14 trillion combined budget for 2026. This compares with 19.94 trillion earmarked for capital projects from 27.22 aggregate budgets in 2025. The figures indicate that although capital spending has increased in naira terms, its share of total state spending has fallen by nearly 9 percentage points. The shift suggests that more state resources are being channeled towards recurrent expenditure and other spending obligations in 2026, even as states seek to expand infrastructure and stimulate economic activities. However, spending patterns differ across geopolitical zones, with states in the south, northwest, and northeast recording increases in infrastructure allocations. On the other hand, southeast, southwest, and north central cut their capital budgets this year. Analysts say the declining share of capital expenditure could have implications for states' ability to attract investment, particularly foreign capital, if reduced infrastructure spending weakens the business environment. They argued that sustained investment in roads, power, water, transport, and other critical infrastructure remains important for improving productivity and making states more attractive to investors. The increase in aggregate state budget also comes amid rising fiscal pressures, with state government facing growing personnel costs, debt obligations, and demands for public services. Experts point out that the challenge for state government will be to balance these recurrent commitments with sufficient investment in productive infrastructure capable of supporting economic growth and generating future revenue. So basically, this is talking about the state budget, making comparison between what we had in 2025 and what we have presently, which is 2026. And the state budget has jumped to about 47%, totaling 40 trillion naira, with capital spending falling short of standard of what we had in 2025. So if state government are spending less on capital expenditure, which is expected to accommodate improvement in road network, education, health, and other capital infrastructure, they are spending more on recurrent, which is basically about salaries, their spending, their ESTA codes, and a couple of other monies channeled towards running the affairs of government. How then do we develop as states, as geopolitical zones, as subnational of this country, especially now that they are getting more monies from the federal government? So what exactly are they doing with some of these allocations that is making them falling short of capital expenditure compared to what we had in 2025?
Or is it that some allocations are not being used for what they are meant for? These are just questions that we don't have answer to. I'll just move to my own story, still on budget. Lagos Assembly scrutinizes Sanwo-Olu's 4.44 trillion naira budget reshuffle. The Lagos State House of Assembly has begun scrutinizing Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's proposed reshuffling of the state's 4.44 trillion naira 2026 budget, with lawmakers demanding that released funds be concentrated on projects that can be completed and benefit residents before the end of the year. The proposal passed second reading on Tuesday, with lawmakers indicating that any approval would come with expectations about how the funds should be allocated and what they should deliver. Sanwo-Olu is seeking changes to the budget less than 8 months after it was signed into law, citing uneven implementation among ministries, departments and agencies, and the need to optimize available resources during the remaining months of the fiscal year. The 4.44 trillion naira budget of shared prosperity signed into law in January recorded 69% overall performance at the end of the second quarter. Recurrent expenditure stood at 73%, while capital expenditure recorded 66%. Sanwo-Olu said rather than allow unspent allocations to remain tied to projects with slow implementation, the funds should be reviewed and redirected to projects capable of faster execution. The governor acknowledged that the performance figures remained below the full-year benchmark, but said the disparity among MDAs had become significant enough to warrant intervention. According to him, some agencies were approaching full utilization of their allocations because of the pace of their programs, while others were recording lower implementation. He said the uneven performance was undermining capital expenditure and slowing the delivery of projects contained in the 2026 budget. But lawmakers appear determined to make the exercise about more than balancing expenditure lines. It's a long read, according to, so let me just paraphrase now. Some of the members of the House of Assembly raised concerns regarding the reshuffling of the budget, and someone said, if these monies are going to be moved from those who are not performing well and moved to those performing well, that there should be, they should ensure that these monies moved will be used for what they are meant for and not just, you know, put behind corners and all. Another person now raised an issue and said that why are those agencies or ministries underperforming? That before they move monies from them, they should be checked to know why they are underperforming. And I think I stand with that. I also share that same sentiment as well. If allocations have been made to a particular agency or ministry, you know, for you to perform, and then you are underperforming, why? is that happening? And of course, Governor Sanwo-Olu is saying that because he wants to maximize and do what he can do before the end of his tenure. And he's saying, if these people are not performing well, let's move these monies into projects that can, be easily delivered for the betterment of Lagosians.
Okay, why is the question this morning about the 2026 budget of Lagos State? If some agencies are performing, as rightly put in that particular report this morning, and as analyzed by Joy, and they are getting so much from the state government, the taxpayers' money, I think they should give reasons as to why they are not performing. And if we have monies that are not really doing out anything, that are not really doing anything in the coffers of government, and we have other infrastructure that we need to provide, I think we might need to channel those funds into that into those sectors. But then, one thing I love about the Lagos State House of Assembly is this: compared to the other assemblies in the state, it is always what the governor says and not what the people want. So I love the kind of engagement between the executive arm and the legislative arm of government right here in Lagos State. So I'm sure that at the end of the day, they will meet at a particular point where the interests of the people and those agencies that the lawmakers are trying to protect will be protected at the end of the day, because we cannot just be throwing monies around all because we want to push certain agencies of government to perform. So those are the news points. I will quickly brush through the column for today, retrieving what Tinubu gave, and is written by Lekon Shote. And what Lekon is simply saying here is, I would just read about 2 or 3 paragraphs of these column for today, coming from the Punch, and the title of the column is Retrieving What Tinubu Gave. And Lekon started by saying, can you believe that the increased salary that the President and Commander-in-Chief of Nigeria Armed Forces promised to pay Nigerian military personnel from the 1st of September 2026 has already been taken away by the imposition of an astronomical increase in the fees of Nigerian Air Force schools, a case of the left hand taking back what the right hand gave, leaving the officers and other ranks who thought they have a respite from the effect of the subsidy that the government removed from petrol, electricity, and foreign exchange. We praised Mr. President sometime this month when the salaries of the rank and file of the military were increased, but now there are children who are attending some of these schools specially set up for military personnel, Nigerian Army Secondary School, Air Force Secondary School, and even primary schools. Their fees have been increased by over 100%. And the increment in salary that they got was between 25 and 35%. So it's like you are using Peter to rob Paul. I'm not P Square, please. You are using Peter to rob Paul. You gave me 35%, and now you now increase the school fees of my children by 100%. The salary increase, how is it going to make sense at the end of the day?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It can't make sense, and it cannot balance. But again, maybe that's why the president increased it, so that before they will hear the news of the increment in the school fees, maybe they will have something to fall back on. But it can't balance. Okay.
So that's the column for today. Can we still take the hashtag, if time permits us? The NDLEA is trending on the X platform this morning. And for those young ones, and even some of us who have come of age, when you see certain people living large, living the life of luxury, do not envy them. A particular man was arrested yesterday by the NDLEA, popularly known as Casey Luxury. Yeah. He has mansions. Talk about the cars.
Luxurious cars.
He's a big boy on
life.
The social media, living his life, not knowing that underneath that wealth was something else. And unfortunately for him yesterday, he was caught by the NDLEA. He actually run a cartel who are behind trafficking of cocaine and other hard drugs outside the country. So unfortunately, he was caught yesterday. And, people started putting up all sort of questions on the X platform, saying that, okay, for those lucky girls that were rooting for this guy, now they know what he does. The money is not clean.
Money is not clean. I mean, 39 billion naira worth of cocaine.
Hey. So, assuming it was successful, it would just be spending money in water.
But that's just, it's a strong message to the younger generation not to believe everything you see on social media. Not to believe everything you see on social media. It's not gold. There is dignity in labor. Work, sweat, and earn your money.
All that glitter is not gold. Some things that glitters, they are cocaine money. They are blood money. So if you want to choose that path, all the best. The long arm of the law will catch up with you one day. And if you believe in what Joy said, which is dignity of labor, so be it. So that's it, the expert from this morning. Let me also say that sometime during the course of this program, there's every possibility that we might link up with our outside broadcast team standing by at the premises of Lagos State University for the 29th and 30th convocation ceremonies of that great institution today. As soon as we get signals, we'll link up with our team standing by in the premises of Lagos State University. We'll take a very short break right now. We'll be right back.